So I come from this institute, which is not a museum, though looks like. It's a school, it's an art school, quite old. It used to be a handcrafted applied design art school, now with design and media management. And I'm running there a small lab, okay, why is it going, yeah, called Creative Technology Lab. I'm a computer scientist from my background. And after spending 20 years in the Netherlands, I had the privilege to offer students the coding and digital technology as medium. And also, to be honest, I got kind of shamed or bored after a successful academic career of how constrained engineers are. We have this tsunami of technology, but real applications go about safety and monitoring the old, that they're still alive and things like that. So I thought, let's make something more interesting in an art school. So novel applications which are inviting and so forth. And they are very much needed in the museum. In one of the courses I give, just in this fall term as well, is digital museum. And I ask students, museum, put down 5 words you come hit your mind. And my MA students associate museum with such things, not very promising. So something has to be done, and the students invented new projects. We always work with these students, some technology students, and a couple of museums in Budapest. They made just an introduction, something like exploring paintings you never can even see, or we made really beautiful, still visible and used installation to show the travels of Ferenc Liszt all around the world, and many word was told about how important it is to hide the ugly technology in beautiful objects. So I like this because we managed to do this. This is again a physical thing, not a book, but the copy of the manuscript of Franz Liszt, and you turn the pages and then you listen to the music. So you are put into the page turner, but you can also explore how this guy worked in manuscript and listen to the words. Another thing we did with students is the Museum of Fine Arts, Dutch collection with a lot of instruments. Even musicologists are not sure about exactly what. So we researched this. You can listen to quartets and look at the instruments. Another project is offering a tour in Budapest in context of a famous novel which took place in the 30s. You see the contemporary map. It was difficult to get it GPS correct. And then looking at contemporary photos and media elements coming from 15 museums, so students really have to work with museums. Now my topic for I don't know how many more minutes is about a literary museum in Budapest. If you go to Budapest, visit this building. It's a wonderful building. The museum, okay, it's about Hungarian literary people. Gosh, it sounds not very exciting. In this year, there is a centenary of a poet. He was a very extraordinary poet without any pomp of the poet as such. So he really didn't collect objects, but he was a genius in playing with Hungarian language. My friends I am staying with, they deck out that there is actually a PhD did in Uppsala on this poet. So guys, you are not completely without reference. There is one poem translated to Swedish. Okay, so what in a museum? Usually you see things like this, the spectacle, the typewriter of the poet, and so forth. But to be honest, only you must be already a fan to go and have your heart beat hard. And yeah, on the other hand, we have these are only the collected works. Actually, you should read poetry, but why to go to a museum for that? You do it at home in the bed. So our solution is to offer interactive experiences which do make you discover the poetry, the oeuvre of the poet. Also some mechanism, what makes a poem a poem. And experience, give some poetic experiences, engage also in discussion with each other on spot. And they also can extend a collection of poems, and last but not least, enjoy the whole thing. So this is how it looks like. It's on till next June, so you can go to Budapest. You see there are some basically paintings and illustrations for poems, and these Lego-like furnitures hide the interactive stuff, and also this wall. And we have altogether 9+2 installations. 2 are more scientific, but 9 are really playful. And I won't have time to go through all of this, but I thank the organizers to have a booth at the exhibition, and I can show you a film, and we can talk about these things later, but I just talk about a few. So there is something like tangible poems. If someone tells you that the long and short syllabary and the high and low vowels in poetry, then you really, oh, this was an exam topic in secondary school. But here you can take into hand 3D printed version of the rhythmic patterns of poems, and you see this is like A, Mabel, first angle, something like quiet and relaxing, like this. And then there you put it here, and this is it. And then people really start to discuss, oh, how come, what corresponds to what here? And this is another thing. I made some effort trying to translate Hungarian for you, but as you see, it doesn't match quite. So Hungarian is a very special language related to Finnish, as you know. So the poem is called Cross Stitch, suggesting that, okay, you can read this. It makes sense if you read like this. If you read like this, some teachers in secondary school challenge students to read like this. But you can read according to cross stitch many ways, so many hundreds of ways like this, or you can make like this. Another question is this a poem? I put the words in a different order. Do I, as visitor, consider this as a poem? Yes or no? I decide. And then this is already from the installation. Here you see the visual sewing representation as a database, and you can touch and you can see how many people found this reading. Oh, it's only me. Okay. And it's difficult to choose the most beloved ones from these 11 installations. This is, you don't have help anywhere. You see this plexi with a dandelion graved into this. And this is a hidden, very small microphone. And you just blow this. It doesn't want to understand what you say, just the intensity of your breath or blowing. And then a poem appears. So this dancing things settle to lines. And you need to blow more to get the poem completed. And last thing I'm going to explain is patch the poem. Here is a poem with missing words. And these words are vagabonding and kind of jumping around. And there's a Kinect up there. So you have to carefully catch in your palm a word and carefully move to the right place. If you put it to the wrong place, the word will jump away. And just one word about technology here, that this idea was mine, but I had the idea using touch screen and blah, blah, you put it, the same functionality. And my artist colleague said, no, we do this holding the light in your palm. And I must say, it's 100 times more poetic and works. And it's also nice that Kinect sometimes, loses the thing. It's quite natural that if there is a mistake with technology, then people say, okay, I was not careful enough with carrying. And last but not, again, there is much discussion that no, you shouldn't put it here, there. And what is really in this way, people must read the text to know where you want to put this. So, okay, so does it work? I'm coming to my end and to your lunch. So to be honest, as a computer scientist who is told 100 times oh, a computer scientist at an art school. I was afraid of, number one, that you get all these Murphy laws, that it breaks down when the president comes down. Okay, so far. The other is the visitors you are afraid of. So I was afraid that they will rush through, oh yeah, okay, I know it works, and they don't care about poetry. And it's not happening really. So for me, the biggest reward that people do read, and I get, oh, I've been there, I've come back with my children, my family. And the Zsófia was the literary experts that really, they will say, okay, maybe this is the time of day, you have to do this, but it has nothing to do with this poet. And when a literary expert wrote a long paper about how this playfulness, I agree, is very appropriate for this particular poet, unfortunately dead, but I'm sure he is happy up there. So, then we were relieved that we really did something relevant to this poet. And well, there is a kind of visitors' feedback, and we get very nice and sometimes funny feedback. And the last thing I would like to say, the role of the guards. So on the first slide, students said, oh, at Musa the guards are terrible, they always tell don't touch, and they are old, and the guards on the opening, they were paralyzed, like, okay, but we don't know the technology and we have never had this. And after a few weeks, if you enter, the guard says, oh, welcome, this is really fantastic. There is no help, but if you need, I can explain to you. And then they tell me, I invented my own way of explaining. So there's also a conversation with the guards. And very much thank you for your attention. So you have many opportunities to learn more about this. And of course, I didn't do this alone. It's extra pleasure that BA students, MA students, PhD students, colleagues, and colleagues from the museum were involved. And this particular museum, I must say, from the lowest technician to the directors, they were all happy and they gave us huge freedom. And that's, I think, why Ruttkay.